Hi everyone, Frenchy here. So today we are going to start our first PHP tutorial course. And before we actually start diving into PHP, I would like to explain something for the beginners there. I would like to give you a very short definition of CSS, HTML and PHP and why those are completely different from one another. Now, imagine a house, okay? In this house you have walls, you have a roof, you have a floor, okay, and you have ceilings. Now those parts usually you don't really move them around, okay, and I will refer them as the HTML in your code, okay. Now the images, the colors of the walls, the color of the paper on the walls, the tiles, those will be for me the CSS part. So this is something you can change from time to time, and it won't really affect the walls, it won't really affect the ceilings, it will just be something that can be moved around, okay, on the frame. Now the PHP, what is the PHP? Well, the PHP will be like the dishwashers, the washing machine will be the little guys moving in the house, and they are touching on, they are turning the lights on and off, they are moving the chairs and putting them back in place, and they are having they are interacting with the stuff inside the house. Now I hope with this very small definition of what those three languages are, I hope you understand a bit better the difference between HTML, CSS and PHP. Okay, so now let's start. Today I will be using, well, today and in all the future courses, I will be using this fantastic software called WeBuilder 2016. And this software is great. Why? Because first of all, it's not very expensive, okay. I will also offer you a 20% discount, so you can find a coupon on collage.com/blog, okay. And if you're interested in buying the software, just get it, and I'm sure you will be using it for a long time. Why? I explain to you why quickly. Because you will be creating a library of snippets. Now, at the moment I will be creating all those snippets for you, okay. So every time a course will be done, you will be able to go on my website, register to the newsletter and receive a file that you can import by clicking on option, import settings, okay. And when you will click on this, you will import my file and all the snippets will be automatically populated into your software there. Alright, so to open the snippet folder you will have to click on the library button. And that will make your life so easy, it will be just unbelievable, because you won't have to remember the syntax during the courses. The syntax will be there, you will only need to double click on the buttons and everything will be added in your code, okay, in your page. So let's start. First thing we will do today is make your web page compatible with Bootstrap 3 and prepare it for PHP. So let's click on File, New, and you have a file here. So it doesn't matter what you have inside, just select everything and delete. Click on the button Library and now click on Create Bootstrap 3 page. Now if you want to copy all of this manually, you go to getbootstrap.com, okay, you go at the top of the page, click on Getting Started, you scroll down and you will have to copy this code here. Now the problem with this code is that all the CSS JavaScript files will need to be hosted locally on your PC, okay. To go faster, what I did in my code is I replaced all those files by CDN links. What is a CDN links? Well, instead of losing time when you are coding very quickly like that, instead of losing time in importing those CSS and JavaScript files into your project, well, instead you link them to another website, and all this code will be pulled from those URLs. It's much easier. Usually when I then launch the program live on the internet, I then delete those links and replace them with locally hosted magnified files. What are magnified files? They are compressed versions of those files, which eliminates pretty much all the empty blank spaces, and in theory this creates a web page that is easier to load, okay. So Now this div here has a class of container fluid, and this is part of Bootstrap. So what we will have to do is make a few spaces below the h1 tag, click on library, and now click on create row grid 363. Okay, alright, so this just appeared now, and this is also part of Bootstrap. This is how you create a row. Now that row you then divide it into columns, and usually in Bootstrap a full column will have a class of 12 in length. Okay, now because we divide it in 3, what you have to do is create your first one, which is, let me show you quickly, which is the left part of your page as 3, the one in the middle as 6, and the one on the right side of your page as 3. Why? Because 3 plus 3 equals 6 minus 12. Well, you have 6 left for the middle. Okay, so now what you have to do is delete this text here, which I added into the snippet. Delete it and create a few spaces. Click on the library button again, and now click on insert form. Alright, now this form has been slightly modified, because if you go onto the Bootstrap website and click on CSS, you then click on the form link here on the right side, and you will notice that in that form code here, I've removed the IDs because we won't need them at the moment. I have renamed the fields, but most importantly, I have added 2 parameters here in the form tag. Check this out. I have added the method and the action. Now, what are those things? Alright, to make it easier for you to understand the logic in coding, I will always try to refer those examples to a real life example. Alright, so imagine the method as a motorway. And in that motorway, you have 2 types of transport. Let's say you have the cars on one side, and you have the lorries on the other side. Well, you may transport people into cars, via cars, okay? Or you may transport people with lorries, by using lorries, okay? Now, it is your choice. Let's say that by using a lorry it is more secure. Why? Because the lorry is kind of bigger, stronger, and if you crash you have more chance of survival than being in a car. Well, in your form it works the exact same way. One of the method is quite secure and the other method is not. Okay, but both of them are used for 2 different type of jobs, and those are kind of layers of transport. So imagine that the post is the lorry and the get method is the cars. Alright, so with the software we built 2016, when you start writing, so let's say we write method equal, it will automatically propose you the method type. Okay, so today we will choose post. Okay, now let me give you a quick example of what is a get method. Let's go into Google. Okay, into Google, and here type games. Now check this URL here. I go backward, okay, I go forward. As you can see here, you have google.co.uk, and in PHP you will have question mark. Here will be your first parameter, equal something, and in PHP you will have this, okay, this % here. Now this means that it is the second parameter. I explain again. After your domain name you will want to pass some data through your URL from point A to point B. Okay, as you can see, this data is public, so kind of dangerous there. You don't want to pass password or things like that. Okay, now instead of calling this like that, we could call it parameter 1 equal SSL. Okay, meaning that when the code in the other end receives this parameter 1 as SSL, it knows that you are requesting a page as SSL. This is just an example. Okay, and here they added another parameter, so we could have called it parameter 2. Okay, and the parameter 2 could be simply games, or it could be we call it category. Okay, category games. And on the other end of your script, you will catch those parameters here, and you will also get their values, and based on those values you will be able to start certain jobs. Okay, so that was a very quick definition of the get method. Okay, I hope you understand this a little bit more. Now the action, what is the action for? The action will be where your PHP script will be placed. Alright, so when you leave it empty, it means that when you will click on the submit button, when the page will refresh, the code will be sent to the exact same page. It sounds a bit weird at first, but you will understand that later on. Okay, we have two choices. We have the choice of having our PHP code in that page. Okay, here. So when you will click on submit, all that data from the form will be sent to the same page and will be validated by the PHP code on that same page. Okay, or some people prefer to have their PHP code hosted in a different file. It depends what you want to do. Now, to keep things cleaner, most of the time you will put your PHP code in a different file. Okay, so because this form, let's say, processes I don't know, a login, then you could call this login processing.php. Okay, then you will have a different type of files for different type of functions. Okay, I hope you understand this part. So for now we will leave it empty. Now let's go and dive into the actual form settings. Okay, so as you can see here, we have in Bootstrap we have a div class form group, and this will create, let's remove one, you will see what will happen. Okay, now as you can see, you've lost a little bit of prettiness here. Okay, you see the space here is not right. Now let's put it back, preview again, and the space is back here. So those are classes pre-programmed by the Bootstrap coders, and by just adding those classes into your divs, you make your form fields look much prettier. Next, this class is also very much needed into your Bootstrap creations, because if you remove them, you will also lose the prettiness of your fields. Okay. Now the type. When you have an input field, you have different of type. So you could have a password. Okay. So I show you what this does. When you type something, well, it's hidden. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean because it's hidden that is actually secured. This is only useful when you have people behind you, okay, or you have a software, a malware on your computer that is taking a screenshot, okay, but it's not really very secure, because in the end of the day, if you have a malware with a keylogger on your PC and you start typing your code here, it will catch everything you're typing. Okay, so don't always believe that what you see here is 100% secure. Also, HTML can be manipulated, so somebody on your website could simply download your web page, open it into a PHP software, HTML software, sorry, and then change the settings into your form, and then resubmit the data from that form and create havoc on your website. Okay, so you have to be very, very careful. Or I show you, I give you an example. Let's say we go to games.com. I don't know what that website is, so I think we'll go on AOL. All right, right click anywhere on the page and inspect. So I'm using Chrome, okay, and Chrome has an inspection tool. Okay, and as you can see, imagine this is your form here. Okay, well, a coder could simply start modifying everything into your form. Okay, so don't believe that your HTML is secure. What will make your HTML secure is not HTML, is actually your PHP on the other end, okay? Because HTML is just to take this data and send it somewhere. That's it. It's not there to be by any means a type of security, okay? So now a very important part of this form is the name parameter here. Now what does this do? Well, when you will click on the submit button in your form, the data has to be sent through a vehicle, okay? And that vehicle will be this one, okay? And that will be the name of the vehicle. So for example, let's say you type my name here, Benoit, okay? Oops, let me change this back to text, okay? I put my name here. When I will click submit, well, the vehicle called first name will then record this data called Benoit, okay, and will then submit it to your PHP code. This is the best way I can explain this, is that this name parameter is a vehicle of transportation for the data you will input into your fields. Now every field must have a different one. Logically, you will use a name that matches the label of your forms or the placeholder or whatever, but you are not going to give, for example, a name like that or whatever, because it doesn't make sense. Try to use something that is that makes sense, okay? And that will be the very important part of transporting the data from your HTML form to your PHP code, okay? Now when you go down to the submit button, the submit button has a type. So as you can see here, we have a type text, okay, because it is here we will input some characters, okay? Here we have a type email, and here we have a type submit, okay? And if you don't put this type submit, it will just not work well. When you will submit, it will just not work at all, actually. And this is very important. So now let's check if our form is sending something, okay? We submit, and as you can see, the page refreshed. So we know that it is refreshing, and this is great, because you may sometimes create a form and it doesn't refresh. Why? Because you forgot the type, or, you know, or different things. You will see later on. I will show you how this works. So that's it for the HTML part. Now this form is pretty much ready to work with PHP. All right. So the next tutorial will be about hooking our PHP code to this HTML. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video, and see you for the next one. Ciao, ciao.